This is the page editor, which we also refer to as the advanced design page. This is where you edit all of the pages of your yearbook. At the top, you can see that I've opened the field trips section, and it shows you the page numbers here. So I'm going to go through a little bit of a tour of the page, and then we'll kind of go through feature by feature and start building some pages. Okay, so first up, we see we've got a big live preview of the book right here in the middle. Okay, and then over on the left, we've got all of our different design tools and they're organized in tabs. Everything on the left here is just drag and drop onto the page. Okay, so we'll start over here and we'll just kind of work our way through. The first tab that we see here is the themes tab, and you'll see that the artistry theme has loaded. We chose the artistry theme when we created this section, and so that's going to load here automatically. Just like on the new section dialog, when we created the section, you can also view all of the different themes here that are available. You can even drag and drop and change the theme on the page if you want to. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and click undo up here and put it back the way that it was. Okay, back to the artistry theme. You can also change pages within this theme to get the design within the theme that you want. Okay, so we've talked about it already. Themes are just a really great way to start. And as you'll see along the way here, there's also a lot of flexibility here. So you can really customize and make these their own as you get more comfortable with the software. Right here is a little theme info box. We also saw this on the new section dialog. And this, again, gives you a description of the theme, and it gives you all the different components that were used and the recommendation from the designer and so forth. And again, this is also in the content guide. So let's look at the Layouts tab. The Layouts tab really just contains image and text frames. And so the way a page is constructed, we've got backgrounds. And if you see, I've got a big watercolor splash here and here. That's the page background. On top of that, as another layer, I've got a layout. The layout contains image frames and text frames and all of the different attributes as well. So in an image frame, I can actually have an attribute of being black and white or having a border or something like that. In a text frame, we can have text, font, style, settings, colors, and so forth. Those are all built into the layouts. Okay, so layouts are really for designing your own pages. You can change the layout on top of a Pixami theme, but really layouts are for constructing your own pages more from scratch, and they're available in all kinds of different grids and styles and so forth. Okay, so a little bit more of an advanced feature and something that you probably want to look at. And then also backgrounds. Backgrounds go behind the layouts again. Okay, and just have some kind of unique content. You can just drag and drop and replace the backgrounds. Backgrounds are available in lots of different categories and subcategories. And again, it's loading watercolors now because that's what's used in my theme. And so I can come in and change out some different watercolor backgrounds and stay within my artistry theme here. And moving on down, we'll go to Candids. Candids are my candid photos that I'm going to flow into the yearbook. And if we look up here, the folder organization, candids are organized according to sections of the book. That's kind of default. That's best practices in the software. Every time you create a section on the ladder in the book, it creates a folder for you with the intention that you'll fill it with photos. So you see, we've already got a bunch of photos loaded here in some different folders. We're in the field trips section, so let's go ahead and load up some photos to use in our field trips folder. I'll simply click add photos. Just some stock photos of yearbook that I'm going to use. They're already organized. I'm just going to select a whole bunch of them and let it go. Okay, so what's happening here, you'll see it's uploading the photos rapidly. It'll use up as much bandwidth as I have available, and you'll see the size of the photos, and you'll see each as they're complete. You'll also see error messages here. If there's a photo that doesn't meet the spec, if it's a PDF file, a TIFF file, you'll get an error message here. Okay, so we uploaded a whole bunch. Do you want to upload more? We'll go ahead and click on no. And then you can see over here, I've got all my photos. On the Photos tab in the software, there's a lot more functionality for uploading and organizing, and you can take a look at that over there. So now we've got a bunch of photos for our field trip section. And the first thing we can do if we want to just drag and drop, start filling these empty image frames. See, this frame has kind of a brush stroke, nice edge effect. Okay, so I can drag and drop into all these empty image frames. Or if I want to, up here, I can click autofill and I can fill all of the photo frames and it'll just keep going in this section until it runs out. Or I can just fill the empty ones. I'll go ahead and replace all of them. We'll just reflow everything in the book. Okay, so now it just fills them in order right through the pages. If there's a particular photo that I don't like the placement, I can drag and drop with a different one and replace it. Okay, over here on the left, you'll see check marks. Right before I did that, she had one check mark. Now she has two. Okay, the check marks represent the number of times that image is flowed into the book. Okay, so you want to pay attention to that. Next, let's take a look at this image toolbar. Okay, this represents all the different corrections and adjustments that I can do to this image. So let's just start here and we'll work all the way through. The first one is crop. I could probably be better if I came in and cropped her, centered her. You can zoom in a little bit, move it around exactly how you want it, and click apply. Very, very easy. Undo and redo are right here. Always very handy to go back and forth with any correction that you do. Okay, so that's crop. Next up is borders. In this particular image, we already have a shape loaded in, which we can see here, and it's showing me in the borders that already have a shape. And so this one's a little bit unique. So we'll start over here and look at the edges. Okay, so she already has an edge applied, and it's one of these sketch effects right here. We can come look at this, and we can change to the different effects just by selecting it. Okay, and then we've got all kinds of other effects, bubbles and Polaroid effects. And these are really cool. Some of these go right along with the themes. Some of these are really great when you're getting creative and designing some of your own pages. So lots of different edges that are here. And again, they're built into the text frames, as was the case with this image. Okay, I can apply any of these, click done, it'll apply to that. I can click done and I can apply this to all the photos on the page, which is pretty dramatically going to change the look. Again, I'm going to undo that and I'll come back into the borders. Okay, so that's edges. The next thing we have is borders. If I don't want that shape, I've got all kinds of other shapes that I can apply to the image first of all. So I can make it round, I can make it triangular and so forth. I can add a border to the image. Okay, just by dragging this, I can change the width. If I click on this little color icon here, I can change the color of my border. I can build my own color palette down here. The way you do that is select this little eyedropper and we'll move around here. Let's say I'll move over here and take this pink from her backpack. Okay, so that's the pink that it's showing me here. And if I want to keep that pink, I can select the paint bucket to put it in there. And then I can select one of these little spaces to keep it. And my color palette's already pretty full. I've done a lot of work here, but let's just put it there. So there is the pink that I just selected. And I'll click OK. And then I can also apply this border with the pink from her backpack to all of the images on the page. Okay, so again, completely different effect. Really, really simple to do. I am going to undo that. Okay, and so that's borders. Up here is really simple. Rotate, flip horizontal, flip vertical, undo, undo. Okay, and then we've got 90 and 15-degree rotations here, little quickie rotations, and then you've also got a custom rotation where you can type in anything you want here, and then also you can undo, reset the rotation back to 0 in this little menu here as well. Moving along, we have colorize feature. And so on the colorize feature, I can apply a color to the image. So simply pick from the palette. You can pick from your own custom palette, click OK, and you can apply that to an image. Okay, and so that's the colorize feature. Clear color will just clear any color that's in the image. And then next up, we have effects. Okay, and effects have all kinds of different basic effects, so brightness and contrast, for example. And the way that this works, this is your image, your current image, and this is showing a thumbnail of the effects of the feature. So this shows what happens when it's auto-fixed. If I click it, it applies it to the image. This shows with the brightness and contrast, and then I can go lighter, lighter, less and more contrast. And then we've also got sharpen here. I could sharpen more on the image. We've also got effects over here. Okay, the duotone effect, I like this better most of the time than the colorize effect for images. A bunch of different options for duotone. And so come take a look at that. You've also got blur. Okay, I can undo all these effects too. I can revert the image all the way back to the beginning. Other things in here where I've got blur, I've got pixelate. I can make larger and larger pixels and so forth. Okay, and then I've got a posterize feature. Okay, and so that's a cool little editor, and that's also new this year, most of those effects and so forth. Over here to the right is delete, and that'll just delete the photo, not necessarily what we want to do right now. And then finally, we have more advanced features. I'm going to get to this as we start to customize this page, but everything under this little down arrow is a little more advanced and really helps you customize the pages. Okay, next we'll go up to text. So let me show you what text looks like. I can select any text box and I've got text toolbar. Again, the layout, the theme already has a font selected. Typically the way the themes work is we've got a heading font, we've got a subhead font and a size, and then we've also got a caption, and then there might be also special features, fonts, and things like that throughout the theme. That's typically the way that they're going to be set up. Okay, so if I come into this heading font, first thing I'll do is click on the T icon, and I can see that it's Quicksand 48. Okay, 250 Google fonts built into the software. They're organized according to sans serif, and then serif, and then title fonts, and so forth. You can come in here and type your new title into here. Okay, you've got font size controls, styles, alignment. You've got this is line spacing controls. You've got a spell checker right here and so forth, and then simply apply to the text box. And that's how easy it is. You can cut and paste when you have big blocks of caption text and things like that. Okay, the next feature over here is color and border. And so I can change the text color, first of all, so I can come in here and just choose another color from the palette. This is the same palette, so as you start to build your own custom palette here, you can use it throughout the section for various borders, text, and things like that. So we'll go ahead and change the color of the text. I can add a border to the text box and see there's a little preview here of what my text box is looking like kind of in real time. And so there's a 5-point black border. Maybe I'll make that a little bit lighter. Transparency, I can fill it with transparency. Let's make it like 50% transparency and make it pink. I can add a drop shadow to the text. I'm not going to go that far this time. And then I can also adjust transparency of the drop shadow. Okay, we'll go ahead and apply this. Okay, so you can see all of the different things that you can do in the text box. This one would probably look a little bit better if I centered and centered. Okay, but again, undo, undo, undo. Okay, next we have rotation, exactly like the image rotation, flipping and rotating, delete, and then again, the more advanced features that we'll look at in a little bit. So there you go, images and text. If you're a novice designer and you want to start building really great looking pages, flow in your images, crop them as you need to, develop your captions, type in your titles, and just work your way through the book. Okay, and that's how it works. And you'll get beautiful looking pages with minimal effort, and hopefully it will be fun as well. Okay, let's continue and let's see how else we can start embellishing our section. We'll skip portraits. We're going to come back to that in a little bit. And let's move along to clip art. We've got thousands of pieces of clip art, all kinds of different subjects. You can search when you need something very specific. But if you go one step further down here, we've got elements, and elements are a little more modern. They're more contemporary, and there's all kinds of different elements that are useful across all of the different different themes. Okay, this particular theme called Artistry uses watercolor blotches throughout. So let's show you what happens here. I can drag one of these watercolor blotches, put it onto the page. I can drag it, move it around, grab it, size it. And then look at this. One of the cool features that's on this down arrow here is layering. Really, really handy feature. I'll send that to the back. Okay. And so now I can just frame my heading inside this. I can position it. Okay. While we've got this element, you'll see I've got rotation up here. You'll see I've got the same colorize that we already looked at. You'll see that we've got delete, and then it's also got some other cool stuff here. For example, transparency. Tone that element down a little bit, make it blend like a watercolor would probably be a cool idea. Okay. And so that's elements. These are really, really great to simply embellish your page like a pro designer. Everything we've seen so far is should be, at least I hope, pretty simple, relatively straightforward, whether you're a designer or not a designer. You know, the page is starting to look pretty good. And so if you continue on this path, as I've said, you'll have a really good looking yearbook. Okay, so now if you're starting to get comfortable with the software and you want to start customizing your own pages, or even if you started with blank pages and you want to start to build them from scratch, let me show you how you can go a little bit further with the design. And remember these undo and redo up here. These are always here for you. So don't be afraid to experiment a little bit with all the other tools that are available. So the first thing I'm going to do is select this frame, drag a corner, and note that I can start changing the size of this image frame. I can change it and I can fit it into a space. Okay, I can even move it over and overlap these a little bit. It's already behind, okay? And so we've got this layering control that would allow me to bring this in front of these, or in this case, it actually looks better behind. The layering controls are available for everything. They're available for image frames as well as text. So I can move an image frame here, okay, and bring it to the front. I can come and do things like, come back in with the text color here and make it white. And so you have a lot more control over all these different elements that are built in, and you can grab anything that's part of a theme and start moving it around. Okay. The other things you can do here, we've got add image frame and we've got add text frame. Add image frame gives me a new image frame right here. I can drag it, I can position it, and then I can drag an image from over here to fill it. Okay. I'll show you another little trick. I can also just drag an image to an empty space on the page and it does the same thing. Next up, I'll show you up here is a grid. And so if we turn on this grid feature, I can show the grid. I can show the rulers, which are here. And then I can show the granularity of the grid, 1/8 to 1/2 an inch, and then snap to the grid. Okay, so when the grid's on, I can come in and do things like this. We'll get this text box out of here. We'll just delete it. And then we'll come up here and I can just drag this image frame. It'll snap right to that other image frame. Okay, and then I can come in here and I can drag another one and do the same. And pretty easy just to snap it right into position and make everything line up on that grid. Okay. Another thing to do is come in here, multi-select. Holding the control key on Windows, I believe it's the Apple key on Mac. And if I multi-select all of these, I get another menu called multi-select menu. And I get some different things that I can do to multiple images at a time. For example, I can apply a border. Okay, apply a border, a color to the border, and apply that to that entire selection of images. I can also come in, I've got duplicate. I can duplicate these images and again, align them to the grid over here. This right here is alignment. I can align the centers of those images. I can align the rights, tops, middles, bottoms. I can make sure they're all the same width. I can make sure that they're all the same height and so forth. I would probably do something like this, just so these guys aren't covered up. You'll also see that you can multi-select text boxes. So I can select 2, and again, I will get the ability to adjust font characteristics, borders. I can duplicate this selection. I can do alignment and delete. Okay. Another little really nice trick here, drag and just grab. So click and drag, grab keyboard keys, delete. I'll undo that. Also keyboard controls, Control A, that's select all, delete. And so a lot of the keyboard commands work here. Select all, and we'll go to the arrow, nudge. I'm nudging everything by one little increment. And obviously you can do individual elements or a whole selection with keyboard. Okay, so try out your favorite keyboard commands. So now we've got a pretty nice looking custom page here. I probably want a text box or two here. I can click add text, adds a text box. And I can come in here, I can duplicate this text box and put it over here. And again, you can align these to the grid and so forth, okay? So let's say this is a page that I'm starting to like. And I want to replicate this page throughout my book, okay? The next thing you'll see up here is Save Layout. This is a nice feature for a designer. If I click Save Layout, I can save just the right side, just this page design. I can save just the left side, or I can save the entire spread. Okay. I can include the background with the spread, which I think I will do here. I can include the text if I want to. Okay, we'll go ahead and include the text. And then I can give it a new category. Okay, and so we'll just call this 2024 layouts and click OK and click OK. What does it say? The page design has been published as a new layout on the Saved Layouts tab. And that's the last tab over here that we haven't looked at yet. We've got the Saved Layouts tab, and we've got a bunch of different folders here of our own favorite custom designs. 2024 layouts, we just added a page design here. So what do we do with it? We go to the next page here, and I can just drag and drop it. Everything that's already on this page will reflow. And see, this is a carbon copy of the spread that I had before. And again, I can continue and I can use all my features to adjust it and change it around. But you can see, you can start to develop your own style. If you had, a book that you did in some other software last year, you can recreate it here. You can save these layouts year after year. Next year you come back and use the software, these will still be here. Okay. So for advanced designers or people that want to expound on the standard layouts, it's a really, really cool feature. So that is Save Layouts. Last couple things we haven't looked at up here on the top are we've got a background feature. Again, on the backgrounds tab, you've got all kinds of different backgrounds that just slide in there behind your design, and you can change them anytime without affecting anything else, okay? You can colorize the background. You can adjust brightness of the back. Maybe you want to lighten that up a little bit. You can do that. You can flip the background and so forth. And then I can also just clear the background, or in this case, I've just got completely white pages. Okay, so that's the background tool. Let's look at a couple of other advanced design features here. So first thing I'm going to do, we'll use this image. So I'm going to come in here in this image. I'll come into the borders, and I'm just going to remove the border, make it easier to see. And I'll click done here. Okay, and then let's just drop a couple of other images in here. Okay, so now select this image, click on the down arrow, and duplicate. Simply just duplicates the image. Locks the image. If you lock the image, then it's locked, it can't be moved. And you can also lock multiple images together. Okay, and it locks them down onto the page and it locks them together. Okay, so no one can do anything with this image. If you lock them together, when you select all three of them, then you can move them. So that's lock. Another cool one is fill page. So fill page, I can take this image and I can go fill page, send to back. Okay, it'll make that image the background. I can also go fill spread, send to back, and make that image the full background. That's a little bit bold, so maybe I'll come in here and I can adjust the transparency of that image as well. So you see another way to get another really nice effect, just having an image be the background. And while this image is still selected, I can come in here and delete it as well. Okay, last little thing that we'll look at here is we've got image info. Image info, really cool feature with face matching. It's not shown on this particular image because it's a stock photo, but check in here and you'll automatically see the names of all the people that are in this candid photo. If they're a student, they have a portrait, their names will just be displayed right here thanks to the face matching technology. Let's look at a couple more things. Another tool up here at the top that we haven't seen yet is called Add Shape. If you click Add Shape, you get a dialog here and you can select a shape. You can adjust the border. Again, all of the same controls, the border, the color, the fill, the drop shadow, and so forth, and then just apply the shape on your page. The shape can be moved around, it can be dragged and scaled and so forth. Okay, and then the shape again has some controls up here on the toolbar. Next, let's start diving into some of the warnings. You can see here, first of all, that we have a light gray and a dark gray border on your pages. The dark gray border is trim. The part that is dark gray is actually going to get cut off in production. And so that's 1/8 of an inch. You don't ever want to put anything in this dark gray area unless you want it to crop off. There might be a good reason to crop an image off. It makes a cool little design feature, but there's never a time that you want to cut text off. So you'll see when you put text into this area, you're going to get a warning. And then the inside here is a safe area. This represents 1/4 of an inch. And this is an area that could potentially get trimmed. It's too close to have elements on the page unless you want to have them cut off again on purpose. Okay. Down below, you see I've got some little info boxes here. This is actually cursor position, and this is in inches on the page. So XY coordinates shows me the position of my cursor. This is the frame position. So this is the actual frame position, X and Y coordinates. And then this is the frame size. I click on this and change the size of that image frame. Okay, and this is really nice when you're working with a grid, and especially when you're building your own layouts and things like that, and you want to be precise. The last thing we're going to look at here is the preview. The last icon here up at the top gives you a preview of your current section. Something that's important about this preview is it actually takes off the dark gray trim. And so this preview is more accurate with respect to what you'll see on the printed page. If you're worried about something potentially being cut off, if it's cut off in the preview, you're probably going to want to adjust it. Okay, again, with the preview, you can navigate through by page numbers and so forth, and you click X to close it out. And finally, up at the top here, you'll see that we have cancel and exit and save and exit buttons. The software is also unique from other software in that we are always saving all the time. You don't have to click anything to save until you're done. Okay, so what do these two buttons mean up here? Cancel and exit is going to erase all the changes that I made since I checked out this section. Save is going to commit your changes to the section, which I'll do now. It's going to go ahead and close us out of the section and save all of our changes. It'll give me any errors and things like that. I don't have any at the moment, and then it'll take me back to the yearbook class.